Spain's debt levels are too high for a country at Spain's stage of development. Spain's regional governments are contributing to the problem and not the solution. Much of Spain's banking sector is beyond recovery, and massive volumes of corporate sector debt are simply unrecoverable. Spain is lost, but not today. Before we get to the good news, let's first spell out the depth of Spain's insurmountable challenges. First, Spain is not an advanced technocracy like the Netherlands or Northern Italy. As such, its levels of infrastructure and education lag Western European norms, and Spain is far more dependent upon low value-added products like clothing, chemicals, and foodstuffs than more advanced products such as automotive, biotech, or computers. This reduces the volume of debt that it can safely sustain, and so while Spain's 70% of GDP debt load may seem favorable in comparison to Italy's 120%, it's really quite similar in terms of sustainability. Probably less so, considering that Spain's budget deficit for 2011 came in at 8.5% of GDP, more than twice Italy's. Second, not all of the problems are at the national level. Most European states hold nearly all power at the national capital, but Spanish regions enjoy broad autonomy, up to and including budgetary authority. Roughly one-fifth of Spain's national debt load resides in regional governments that Madrid cannot easily bring to heel. Newly minted laws allow Madrid to intervene and force changes, but this power has yet to be exercised, and its mere existence is spooking a Spanish population that has not yet excised the fears of living under the Franco dictatorship. A dictatorship that not only ended a mere generation ago, but only ended because Franco died, not because there was a revolution. Third, there's a banking challenge. In part because of this regional budgetary autonomy, Spain sports a large banking subsector called cajas, which often serve as the primary means of funding, or to be blunt, slush funding, regional governments and politicians. Consolidation in this sector has begun, but the vast majority of the cajas are moribund by any reasonable definition, and folding them into healthier financial institutions would probably cost about 150 billion euros. That's about 15% of GDP. And this figure does not count as yet unrealized losses in the Spanish construction and real estate sectors. Spain is one of the few European states to take proactive position on its shrinking demography. Throughout the 2000s, Madrid actively courted immigration. Roughly 1 million people relocated to Spain, mostly from Latin America. But these people had no credit. The government was unwilling to doom the newcomers to second-class citizenship, and so waived standard credit requirements. One result was Spain's housing boom, which led to the inevitable bust. Spain, a country of only 40 million people, now has 1 million unoccupied houses. Loans linked to such increasingly devalued collateral have yet to be folded into the inevitable bailout bill. So on its own merits, Spain is doomed. But Spain, luckily enough, is not trading on its own merits. A reminder of what's going on with Greece explains why. Greece is a small peripheral economy with an even smaller trade portfolio. Only 7% of GDP is involved in exports. In the 2 years Greece has been under bailout, Greek links to Europe have been steadily severed or sequestered. A Greek cutoff or default now would probably impact the broader European system to a tune of less than 150 billion euro. That's not only survivable, but with every passing week the figure gets smaller. Greece is now disposable, and probably will be disposed of soon. For Spain, not an option. At over 1 trillion euros, Spain's GDP is nearly 5 times that of Greece. And with a trade exposure that is 2.5 times the relative and 11 times the absolute exposure of Greece, to say nothing of banking exposure, Spain cannot be walled off from the EU no matter the scenario. If Spain fails, the euro fails. And so, Spain will not be allowed to fail. The chief European method of sustaining Spain and several other troubled European economies is the ECB's long-term refinancing operation. In the past few months, LTRO has injected a full €1 trillion into European banks, with nearly 2/3 of the last tranche, about €320 billion, going just to Spain, primarily to the cajas. LTRO doesn't resolve any of Spain's problems, but it does keep the economy on life support. So long as the euro exists, continued LTRO tranches will keep the Spanish system afloat. But beyond that, Spain's just not going to recover.